There have been 4 fatal crimes in the Jackson metro area in the last 5 days. That's why leaders from the Jackson Police Department met here to find ways to combat crime. A security officer is dead and a clerk is in the hospital after an armed robbery and shooting at a gas station. The law was enacted in July of last year, but it only applies to nonviolent offenders. It started out like a typical day in the neighborhood, but by 11 a.m., this complex had turned into a crime scene. Experts say the age of people getting Alzheimer's is continuing to get younger. Police searched the area behind me. The victim was found along this trail. We later learned that the governor was on that airplane, and we're following the story. We'll bring you any new development details. Flowers, balloons, and donations are a few ways that people in the community are showing their condolences for Tyrone McKinney. He is the security guard who was shot to death at this Shell gas station. Kathy Hardy lives just down the street from the gas station where he was gunned down. She says her heart led her to give.
What did they talk? He was a nice man. I didn't know him. I didn't know him at all, but the donation that I gave, I hope it helped the family.
As police continue to search for his killer, Hardy believes justice will prevail.
Be strong. God got this. He's going to take care of this. He's going to find them for you and give you peace and bring justice to you all the way it should be.
Police say there's outrage in the community over the crime because it was senseless.
In this particular situation, you had a poor guy who was out working all night trying to make a living, wasn't bothering anybody, he and the store owner. I don't know many people that just like working at night, so obviously they're out doing that trying to make a living. And then you have 2 guys to come into a store with an assault rifle drawn and just shoot them.
The store owner did not want to be on camera, but says that Tyrone was a helpful person, so helpful that he kept a gas container in the back of his truck for anyone in need. That's why news of his death hits home for so many.
Really did touch me real bad because of the simple fact his family, he left family behind.
In Jackson, Quentis Jones, Fox 40 News. In an already tough economy, landing a job is difficult, but for convicted felons, their backgrounds can make it impossible.
You got to check that box, and then the people is going to run a background check. 9 out of 10 people run a background check, and if they see, they're going to see what the felony was, and a lot of them will have some reason to turn them down.
Neil Martin runs Liberty Bail Bonds. He deals with convicts on a regular basis in his line of work. He says the new law to expunge convicted felons of their crime can help those who are really rehabilitated to earn an honest living.
A first offender can go and get it expunged and then have a better record at getting a job, a better job, where second and third offenders, they're not never going to be able to do nothing but like cut grass and stuff.
Ryan Burns is a former district attorney who knows the other side of the aisle as a criminal defense lawyer. He says a lot of people don't know about the law and how it can help them.
This is a pretty new law. It hasn't been publicized enough, and it's a shame it hasn't because it can affect so many thousands of Mississippi residents.
The law was enacted in July of last year, but it only applies to nonviolent offenders.
Basically, the only time stipulation that is in this law is that you have to wait 5 years before you can qualify. Now, 5 years means it has to have been 5 years since all the terms and conditions of your conviction have ended.
Now, this law does not mean that one-time offenders are guaranteed a job, but it does provide them with a second chance and the possibility of finding one. In Ridgeland, Quentis Jones, Fox 40 News. Security officer is dead and a clerk is in the hospital after an armed robbery and shooting at a gas station. It happened just before 3 a.m. at the Shell station at the intersection of Fortification and Jefferson Street. As you can see from this video, things have since calmed down, but it wasn't like this a few hours ago. Jackson Police spokesperson Calendula Green tells us that 2 armed men entered the store and demanded money. Well, Bob, we're still at Daniel Field Airport. The airport is still on emergency status right now. We got word earlier that the airplane was diverted. It was en route from Atlanta to Myrtle Beach. We learned later that the governor was on that airplane along with some top business executives. We're still monitoring the situation. We're going to stay here until we learn more, and we'll bring you all the details. Schools across Richmond County are experiencing major financial burdens. Dozens of teachers have already been let go to save costs, and now the school board has decided that closing the schools themselves may be the only way to keep them viable.
Well, we have to fill the gap of the funds that have been cut from the state, so we're proposing to have 2 furlough days a month, and in addition to that, we'll have 2 early release days a month as well.
These cost-cutting measures add up like this. The school board estimates that they will save about $12,000 in energy costs for every furlough day, and early release days will save Richmond County about $5,000 in energy costs.
This should save $60,000 between now and at the end of the school year.
Now that may seem like a lot of money, but critics of the plan say that when the average annual energy bill for Richmond County schools is over $6 million a year, the other sum just seems like a drop in the bucket.
We know this will be a financial burden on some of our families, but it's just what we have to do.
If this plan works, Columbia County and Aiken County school boards say they will do the same. Experts say that every little bit helps, and school officials in Richmond County say that they would rather cut some school than get rid of the arts and the education programs.